Hey everyone, and welcome back to CIPP GDPR Guide. Today, we're diving deep into two crucial articles of the GDPR that are absolutely vital for anyone handling personal data. Article 7, all about consent, and Article 8, which focuses on the special considerations for children's data. Understanding these is key to staying compliant and building trust with your users. Let's get started. Imagine you're in a quiet little village and someone knocks, asking to borrow your journal. Would you just hand it over, or would you want to know what they'll do with it first? That's what consent under GDPR is all about, and it gets even more serious when it comes to kids. Let's dive into Article 7 of the GDPR, which talks about conditions for consent. This is the bedrock of consent under GDPR. When you're processing someone's personal data based on their consent, this article lays down the strict rules you must follow. So, what makes consent valid under GDPR? 1. Freely given. This is paramount. Consent must be a genuine, uncoerced choice. You can't make access to a service or performance of a contract conditional on consent to processing that isn't strictly necessary for that service. Think about it, if someone has no real choice, it's not truly consent. 2. Specific. Consent needs to be for specific purposes. You can't just ask for a blanket yes to all future data processing. If you have multiple purposes for processing data, you need to get separate consent for each of them. 3. Informed. Individuals must be fully aware of what they are consenting to. This means clear, plain language explaining. Who is collecting their data? The controller. What data is being collected? Why it's being collected? The purpose. How long it will be stored? Their rights, including the right to withdraw consent. Any third parties the data might be shared with. It should be easily accessible, not buried in lengthy terms and conditions. 4. Unambiguous indication. Silence, pre-ticked boxes, or inactivity are not consent. There needs to be a clear, positive action from the data subject. This could be ticking an unticked box, clicking an accept button, or signing a form. 5. Easy to withdraw. It must be as easy for someone to withdraw their consent as it was to give it. If they clicked a button to opt in, they should be able to click a similar button to opt out. You need to inform them of this right before they even give consent. 6. Demonstrable. And finally, you, as the data controller, must be able to demonstrate that consent was validly obtained. This means keeping clear records of when, how, and what consent was given for. Before you click I agree or yes, do you really know what you're consenting to? Under GDPR, consent isn't just a checkbox, it's power, control, and clarity. Another one, think of when you visit a website and a cookie pop-up appears. If the site gives you both accept and reject options in plain language, that's proper GDPR consent. But if there's only one button or unclear wording, that's a red flag. Now, let's talk about a particularly sensitive area, children's data. Article 8 builds upon Article 7, recognizing that children merit specific protection because they may be less aware of the risks involved in data processing. Article 8 primarily applies when you're offering information society services directly to a child and relying on consent as your legal basis for processing their data. Think social media platforms, online games, educational apps, anything where data is processed electronically. Age of consent. The GDPR sets the default age at which a child can give their own consent at 16 years old. Parental authorization below 16. If a child is below 16, the processing of their personal data is only lawful if and to the extent that consent is given or authorized by the holder of parental responsibility, for example, a parent or guardian. Member state variation, important note. Individual EU member states have the flexibility to lower this age, but not below 13 years old. So, you need to be aware of the specific age of consent in the countries where your service operates. Reasonable efforts to verify. As the data controller, you are required to make reasonable efforts to verify that the person providing consent is indeed the holder of parental responsibility. What's reasonable depends on the technology available and the risks associated with the data processing. For low-risk processing, an email confirmation might suffice. For higher-risk situations, more robust verification methods might be needed. Focus on information society services. It's important to remember that Article 8 specifically applies to information society services offered directly to a child. If your service is clearly not directed at children, or if you're not relying on consent as your lawful basis for processing, Article 8 might not apply in the same way. Say a 13-year-old signs up for a social media app that tracks their activity. Under GDPR, the app must verify parental consent before processing that data. If they skip this step, they're in breach of Article 8. To summarize, Article 7 sets the gold standard for valid consent. It must be truly voluntary, clearly explained, specific, and easy to withdraw. Article 8 adds an extra layer of protection for children, requiring parental consent for those under 16, or the relevant national age, for information society services. Navigating GDPR can seem complex, but by understanding these core principles of consent and children's data, you're well on your way to building a privacy-respecting and compliant operation. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more insights into data privacy and cybersecurity. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about GDPR or what topics you'd like me. Thank you and follow for more at CIPP GDPR Guide.